that's just where I felt the most right. But then later on, like when I didn't have soccer in my life, I got like super addicted to alcohol and drugs. You know, I got sober, but what really like made me feel alive again was re-engaging in soccer. I was drawn to Street Soccer USA because it's like that feeling of when you're 5, 6, 7, just super pure and pretty raw. It's that kind of version of the game. We're using soccer to break the cycle of poverty. It's more of a relationship tool for us. We get to actually play with them, and so you develop more of a teammate relationship, so we can build trust, which allows us to understand the challenges they're having. We really get to the root of it, whether it's connecting people to job opportunities that we know about, or sobriety resources, or mental health resources, or housing, and then be able to connect them to something that's really going to help them move forward in their lives. And in the moment, it's a space of relief. We started to hear from our adult participants that they felt had they had some kind of environment like this or a team to be on at a younger age, they may have made different decisions. We're working with like 500 youth in Sacramento right now that probably wouldn't be playing otherwise, so that's pretty cool. We go to some neighborhoods and there's little girls out there and they don't go out to play sports, but we have 5 or 6 female coaches. And it's starting to bring out more girls because you're realizing that it's an opportunity and it's an option. It's working, it's catching on. I feel like we're doing some things that traditional services aren't able to do, and that feels good.
Thank you, Zach. Originally, this was going to be for 5 minutes, and then he said I could have as much time as I wanted. So it was going to take 10. We're going to take 10, just so you know. But first off, I just want to thank Positive Coaching Alliance for this award and the acknowledgement and all the great work that's being done by the PCA to impact lives in the community. Thank you to our Street Soccer USA organization. We have some board members, some coaches, some players who've had the courage to move forward in their lives and take a risk on street soccer. And then a big thank you to my fiance, Tiffany Frazier, who is here and has helped us to grow this program from scratch about 2010. This award means a lot to me. I spent a long time believing that I would not be able to have a positive impact on a single person, let alone a community. So again, thank you for the acknowledgement. I've been able to experience the positive impact of sports and soccer the majority of my life. I scored my first goal at 4 and was hooked ever since. The soccer field was always a space where I felt free, support, and that I could truly be myself and express myself with confidence. I spent 25 years of my life chasing that high of scoring the first goal. It took me through high school, through college, and into semi-pro. We'll say that while I found a lot of success in the soccer field, never once did I have a coach who took the time to talk about what I could do off the field the way that I could do it on the field. And while I had ambitions to go professionally, it didn't work out. And so when I had this huge void in my life of not having soccer anymore and not having that support system and not having what I was living for, I didn't have the skills to cope with that, and I ended up getting really heavily into drugs and alcohol. By 2009, I was sitting in a jail cell dying of a drug addiction right here in Sacramento, wondering how I would ever rebuild my life and how I had gone from feeling like, God on the soccer field into nothing. It was through a drug rehabilitation program in 2009 that I was introduced to Street Soccer USA, which is an organization that uses the power of soccer to help people of all ages and all backgrounds discover their strengths and to take positive steps forward in their lives. You saw a little bit of what that looked like in the video. How it started was with a homeless adult program, which I joined while I was in this rehab program. And it was a very unique and raw experience, not your typical soccer players. First experience with a lot of guys with some teeth and some not, and a lot of tattoos and some shoes and some not shoes. But it was the first time that I had experienced joy again in a really long time. The high that comes with scoring and the acceptance that I was feeling from these folks that I had just met and I was playing with. And we were all working on our sobriety together, but we were also going to be training for this national cup that was going to be in Washington, D.C., and while we had ambitions of winning, we didn't win, but it was the most eye-opening experience for me as what I could achieve in a sober life. And so that really motivated me to want to motivated me to want to use the resources that I had back home available to me to stay on that path, because now I believed I could have an exciting life. And I had some opportunities to compete in a homeless World Cup, which is not the World Cup that you grow up wanting to play in. However, it turned out to be a very positive experience for me, and again, eye-opening and more than anything showing me how soccer across the world could impact people, whether they were good or skilled or not skilled, but how it made them feel was the same across the board, and it was the single thing giving them hope, support, and the courage to move past whatever their adversities were. What I found to be the most rewarding through street soccer was when I learned that I could coach and I could give this experience to other people. So Tiffany and I started building the Lady Salamander team, which was designated for women experiencing homelessness, mental illness, drug addiction, domestic violence, and what that looked like. To give you an idea, is about eight people per team. Street soccer is a 4v4 game, so it's small, there's walls around it, so it keeps the ball in, so if they're not super good, you don't have to go chase it. But it looked a little bit like a combination of A League of Their Own and Orange is the New Black. We do have a former player here tonight. If you want to learn more about it, feel free to talk to her afterwards. But it's the most exciting teams that I've ever coached. So I'm going to tell a couple stories that kind of illustrate what we do. And one of those is in 2012, we had a team of 8 women, all homeless for different reasons, no soccer experience, and collectively I had 32 kids and grandkids. Easy, right? So after a year of training, the reward was to take them to a Street Soccer USA National Cup where they would compete with other homeless street soccer teams. And we lost every game but one. They didn't mind, which was great, but when we did have our final game, it was in Times Square, and it felt exciting. And this is the game that we were actually scoring and we were competing, and we tied the game. And to tie the game, we forced it into penalty kicks. And we had one player, Eliana, who was a domestic violence survivor and a mother of 4. When we met, was very broken, shattered, zero self-esteem. She volunteered to take this final kick for us in Times Square in front of hundreds of people. And not the skilled soccer player, so she doesn't have the footwork that it would require to, psych a goalie out or get him to the side. So she confidently dribbles towards the goalie, does a cartwheel to distract the goalie, scores in behind her, giving us our game-winning goal. And I think Cindy can confirm that it felt like we had won the World Cup. We won nothing that weekend except for the experience that we all had. But what was important about that moment, especially, is that was where Eliana learned how she could be a leader, and she was able to have the confidence to do something and take a risk. And after she did that, she was that person every single day afterwards. In her job, how she went after her kids to get custody back. Today she lives in Portland. She works with other women in domestic violence, and she coaches all 4 kids in different team sports. So that's what our adult program is meant to do, and what it does for our adults and youth is that it facilitates experiences where they can have this self-discovery about themselves that life doesn't facilitate yet. And the important thing is that they can learn who they are and see their character in certain ways that can now be used for other life goals. None of these women planned on being professional soccer players, but what we do want them to do is be successful in the community and rebuild their lives. So after about 6 years of having these adult homeless street soccer teams and the successes we were seeing, and having all their kids come out, we started to realize that there's almost 30,000 families in Sacramento that can't afford to play soccer in an organized sports team. And that's an issue because if they can't learn these skills, how are they going to be successful in school? How are they going to be successful with friends and teamwork. So now today we go into after school, or schools that don't have after school programs, they don't have soccer, we go into really low income neighborhoods, and then we provide weekly soccer practices for them to be a part of and to sort of teach our curriculum. But there was a story of a youth that I just saw a week ago, and my mind was blown at how different she was than when she first came out. Her name is Zoe. She was 6 when she came out to our first program, which is at like one of the oldest housing projects in Sacramento. And she was a nightmare to deal with. Excuse me. I feel bad saying it, but you know, it was true. We had to have one coach specifically to manage her behavior. Because when the ball got taken away from her, she wanted to beat him up. And, you know, when somebody didn't go her way, she wanted to fight somebody about it. And if she didn't score a goal, she had a meltdown. And so, I saw Zoe a week ago, and she's 9 now. She's been coming out regularly. She shows up in like the uniforms we just gave them, so full soccer uniform. She's helping the coaches set up the fields before practice. She stayed to the end of the practice to help them take down the gear. She was teaching the other youth how to have good sportsmanship and how to not give up when they got frustrated. And she was taking on like these 14-year-old boys, fearless. And I just couldn't believe like what I had seen change in her. And I say this because what it really struck me as, you just don't know who these kids are going to grow up to be. You know, Zoe may or may not continue to play soccer, but what I know is that she has confidence now that she didn't have 3 years ago, and it's probably bleeding into her school life. It's probably going home with her, and she's sharing it with other kids around her. This is a rough neighborhood. We spent the first year just breaking up fights. Now we have 0 fights, and they're just supporting each other. But the point of that is I played with Megan Rapinoe for a couple years when I was in semi-pro league in Elk Grove. And what I remember about Megan Rapinoe was that she was just like this really, I'm not close to her, so don't call her and be like, hey, this is what like Lisa said about you. But my impression, so I was this 21-year-old super cocky, arrogant college kid in my mind, like I was definitely gonna play professional soccer, and I coming to the summer league to just help these young kids with their, compete. And so I met Megan, and she was like 17, super kind of seemingly awkward teenager who was very good on the soccer field, but didn't see that confidence. She didn't stand out to me like the leader that she has become today. And when you look at what Megan is doing today for girls around the country, for our United States women's team, the advocacy that she's giving, like I couldn't believe that this is who she turned into. And and the only thing I remember was like when we were picking our jerseys out, we were both going for number 15. She's like, I'm 15. I was like, all right, I don't even care. We have it. And today, she wears it well. So glad that she got that number. And I'm really appreciative, like I was going to these games like I did, like kind of just hung over every game. I'm so glad that they didn't see me as a role model then, because that could have ended up really bad for United States soccer. But I'm gonna wrap this up, but I think when I saw Zoe the other day and saw what she had become in 3 years, and then I think about like when I see Megan Rapinoe, winning the ESPY awards and just killing it, and like so confident in what she's talking about and fearless in her advocacy. It just really reminds me, it's like when we have this space and we provide that space, we provide the right coaches, like, we just don't know what they're going to turn out to be. And so for that, it's like we all need to give everybody a chance, and we all need to give everybody a coach. I really appreciate what Positive Coaching Alliance is doing and making it more than winning, which is what we need, because we need kids to take all of the experience they have and use it in their life forever, regardless of what they do. So thank you again for the acknowledgement and the award, and thank you for the work that you're doing.